I'm sorry, guys, but the US, the population of the US, so easily fooled. Remember when Trump got into power on the basis of being the anti elite, the anti war, the anti swamp of the Washington, D.C.? He got in power on that basis, and yet he is diametrically in opposition to what he's calling out for. In this instance, he is engaging in a war that Obama was against, in a war that Biden was against, in a war that very easily could have been prevented. But of course, Trump himself is compromised. He is compromised by his connection with Israel, his connection to, of course, another elite with Jeffrey Epstein. He's compromised. There is a FBI report that has been published recently in connection to the Epstein files that shows that Trump is compromised by Israel, which means that Trump will do the bidding of Israel more easily because, of course, he has got some he's got some skeletons in his closet. So it's not a surprise that he will follow the lead of Israel. Now, Israel, through Netanyahu and prior leaders, have said that Iran was weeks, if not days, away from developing a nuclear weapon. Of course, Israel itself has many nuclear weapons, and the US, of course, has one of the largest stockpiles of nuclear weapons. So, what kind of moral authority does the US, and especially the ethno states, the illegal ethno state of Israel, what moral authority do they have to decide that Iran does not have the right to nuclear weapons? And furthermore, Iran does not have nuclear weapons. Even the Ayatollah put a fatwa on there being no nuclear weapons, because of course nuclear weapons is in their belief system, abomination. Of course, they're opposing the inhumane nations of Israel, which of course is not it's not a godly nation state. It is a completely immoral ethno state that of course got the US into this engagement of so-called combat operations, which is basically invasion of Iran, leading to what seems to be the case of the assassination of Ayatollah Khomeini. And they, and the irony here is that they thought that by decapitation of this particular leader, that Iran would just lay down their weapons and change over leadership. That's not how things work in Iran. That's not how things work in reality. That somehow you would have regime change overnight. This is not going to happen. So Iran is going to fight back. It's going to do what you expect it to do, with or without Ayatollah Khamenei. So that's also another kind of, this is what elites fail to understand, that these engagement wars, and Trump is at the cream of the crop of these elites. He is those one of the PDF files at the compromised by a lack of moral scrutiny, moral discernment, and actually real understanding of what working class people need. In fact, I was recently watching a kind of like a discourse on, I believe it was on a mainstream news channel in the US, and these Republicans were defending Trump in response to Trump's connection to Jeffrey Epstein, and they literally said that how can we be talking about Trump and Epstein? The Dow Jones is 50,000. Basically, the stock market is doing well, and so it just goes to show the the normalization of moral depravity that they expect us to swallow, to just take that nonsense as fact and forget about the things that matter in reality, which is ensuring that vulnerable children are not exploited by these demonic monsters like Trump, like Epstein, like Dershowitz. or and of course, Israel itself has been mentioned over 4,800 times in the Epstein files. Of course, Epstein himself being a pro-Zionist figure, being connected with Ehud Barak, the former president, the prime minister of Israel. There's a big convergence of these different factors, because immorality is a consequence of how unquestioned power operates. Without having democratic oversight over these powerful elite creatures, these demonic souls, then you cannot have a society that is run in service of the people and run in the service of what is ethical, which is moral, which benefits all of us. And that's why we are seeing these wars erupt, because of course, you say what you will about Ayatollah Khamenei, he is a result of the US interfering with the domestic, the politics of Iran. Let's not forget, 1958, the democratically elected leader Mohammad Mossadegh was ousted in a coup, CIA-backed coup, because he wanted to nationalize the oil, which the British Petroleum Corporation objected to. And so they consulted the American CIA, and they ousted this democratically elected leader who was also liberal, who was also a secularist. They ousted him, put the Shah in power, the historical royal family of Iran. He was also unpopular. He was actually truly unpopular. Grassroots, the people of Iran, after so many years, they rejected him. And then you had the Islamic Revolution, which is a grassroots kind of form of revolution in Iran. So this is kind of this goes counter. This is complete in opposition to the propaganda that is spewed by nationalists in Iran who are pro-Shah, pro-US and pro-Zionist. The very fact that the people of Iran objected the Shah and led the Islamic Revolution tells you a lot, that these nationalists do not represent the majority of the people of Iran. They're just useful proxy puppets for the benefit of spewing the propaganda of the US and Israel, and to make things safer for this ethno-state of Israel. And so, fast forward now, you have the ousting, or rather the attempted ousting of the leaders of the Islamic Revolution, in order to install, which seems to be the case, this next leader. Ultimately, what we will see is a fracture within Israeli governance, a breakdown of governance, which they expect Iran to kind of follow the footsteps of Syria or Iraq, where the leadership breaks down. You have the nation break down into splinter groups, and therefore there's no unified power, and therefore the whole nation is easy to control. So that's where we are right now. There's so much more to say. There's so much more to say on the evil of these elites, from Trump to Netanyahu. The fact that the so-called anti-war president Trump is the most pro-war right now. He has engaged more wars than prior, recent governments in the last 10, 15 years. He is very much the pro-Iraq war, only that's happening right now. There's so much more to say, but I'll leave it there. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please like, comment, and subscribe. That'd be very much appreciated. Thank you.